Welcome to Sunday Morning Football, where championships are won at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. This is Fourth and Fantasy, bringing you the morning rush with my good friend Dougie Fresh from the FF Dynasty. We're bringing you the morning rush. We're not taking calls, we're taking final calls. Get your toughest start sit questions ready. We're cutting through the spin to get you the lineup clarity you need. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red brass brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty. Keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demanding respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth and fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand on.
Welcome, everybody. We got Dougie Fresh in the house. He is the first non-Huncho guest. How does that go? Huncho is not here, but we got Dougie Fresh taking his chair for this Sunday morning. Welcome in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Doug.
Hey, thanks, Rocco, man. I appreciate you guys having me on tonight or this morning, actually. Jeez, sorry. I've been fantasy footballing for almost 30 years at this point. Back in the day, right before Yahoo, so feels good. I've been with FF Dynasty for about a year now, so I really enjoy those guys over there. We do a lot of content and things to put out, but no, happy to be on and shoot the shit with you a little bit.
Yes, sir, man. I had to put out the bat signal to get somebody in here to co-host with me because right now Huncho is in the woods camping and he has zero signal. So man, I hope he's enjoying himself and he'll be back during the week. But right now it's all Doug Fresh all the time. We're going to kind of go through each matchup today, starting with the early game, and we'll pivot as questions come in for starts and sits. But Jets and Broncos, who do you like? Who do you not like? What's some of the storylines to follow that are fantasy relevant?
Well, I definitely am going to like the Broncos in this game. I don't think the 0-5 Jets are going to really get anybody going. What I do like is I think that you're going to eventually start to see a changing of the guard. I think RJ Harvey is really going to start to take even more snap share that we've seen recently. Dobbins is still going to be a steady rock, still get his 60%, 70% snap share for the time being. But I really think you're going to start to see over the next week or two RJ Harvey really step into that role. So I'm really excited about him taking that next step forward. And I think Bo Nix has also played a lot better on the Broncos side. His quarterbacking early in the season wasn't very good, but I feel like he's gone through his progressions a lot better. He's been able to read the defense a lot better. And he's starting from a fantasy perspective to dial in a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bo Nix. I drafted him everywhere last year. I think that he's got that mind meld kind of going with Sean Payton, and people were nervous early in the season, but if you remember, he started off slow last year as well. So I think he's really starting to find his groove in the last game or so, and a game against the 0-5 Jets, whose defense is atrocious. I believe they have 3 sacks in the last 4 games, and I believe I just looked at it here. The Broncos have only given up 5 sacks all year, so it should be some explosive fireworks. Do you have any faith in the Jets offense or offensive players this week? Do you think it's just garbage time?
Yeah, it'll be
we can see anything.
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be strictly garbage time, and hopefully Garrett Wilson, for those owners, still gets his 12, 13 targets this week, and can convert some of those. He's been a little touchdown dependent, so in the week that he didn't have a touchdown, obviously he fell probably, I think, a mid-second, actually probably mid-third wide receiver for fantasy teams. But I think, when he gets his touchdown, obviously he's going to be a lot better when when he gets out there. Fields seems to find him, which I do like. Obviously, the connection from Ohio State we've talked about for weeks and weeks. But I think that's probably it. You might see a good dose of Breece Hall being able to at least try to establish the run, because that's what the offense in New York wants to do. But I really feel that you're not going to see anything but a bunch of garbage time fantasy points. So
Hey, garbage time score is as good as regular time fantasy points. It makes me nervous to not have anything until, like, midway through the third and into the fourth quarter when the game's
yeah,
out of reach. But the final stats look nice. Do you think there's any chance that there's any kind of benching there with the team 0-5? Do they roll with Tyrod Taylor at any point this season if they continue losing?
I think it's a whole team effort. I don't think you can place the blame squarely on Justin Fields. So I don't foresee that happening. I think there's just a lot of band-aids that they need to fix permanently, and I don't foresee that happening. So if we were having the conversation where Justin Fields is missing his reads and doing the things that he was doing early when he was in Chicago, I would say that we might have an issue and a changing of the guard at quarterback. But I don't foresee that being the case as of now. Um, and there's really no reason to go to Tyrod Taylor if there's a healthy Justin Fields available.
I can dig it. So that's the early game. Jaguars and Seahawks. Um, Same question. Who do you like in this game? Who do you not like? Any unobvious sits in this game? Any storylines to follow?
Um, I think I like the Seahawks in this game, actually. I know the Jaguars came out last week and beat the Chiefs. Looked pretty good doing it. Opportunistic if they were, right? But I really think the Seahawks are a very, very complete football team. I really feel that McDonald's got them in the right position that he wanted to be in, right? Good, strong defense, being able to establish the run, Darnold not going in and making mistakes, and that's exactly what he's done since he signed the contract. So I think each week he's gaining more confidence in that offense. I really actually like Torrey Horton a lot in this game. I know he's kind of been excelling over the recent weeks and getting a touchdown in the games, but I think you're starting to see his role really grow, and his obviously athleticism score coming out of college was off the charts, and I really think you're starting to see him kind of take over for that Cooper Kupp production. So that's one player that I am scared of on the Seahawks side would be Cooper Kupp. From a Jaguars perspective, didn't love ETN last week, obviously, but I kind of feel like the Seahawks defense is going to hone in on that. So he's somebody I'm actually kind of concerned about this week. But overall, I really do. I do like the potential of Brian Thomas being able to take over. I still need to see a little bit more from Travis Hunter. I know he had the big long one last week. He's looked better, but I think that they're still messing with the defense-offense thing, and it's really still hurting his progression from his receiver standpoint. So he's somebody that I'm probably still, if you absolutely need to do the bye weeks and need a flex, he would be a play, but I wouldn't want to start him right now.
Yeah, and it looks like the Seahawks have Devin Witherspoon, Tyreek Woolen, and Julian Love are going to be out this week, so this could be a get right game for Brian Thomas Jr. with most of the secondary out this week. So that's an interesting storyline for me to look forward to. Chargers and Dolphins. Is this a get right spot for the Chargers?
I think it has to be. I think they need this to really swing the pendulum a little bit for what they've done. I mean, they came out firing on all cylinders in week 1 against the Chiefs, and then Justin Herbert has declined in fantasy points each and every week. I think this is the week they get right. Obviously, the lack of running backs is concerning for them, but they'll make do, and I expect you to see them throw the pill around the field all day long today. They'll try to establish a little bit with Vidal. Mainly Haskins, I think, is going to be kind of the grit runner. Vidal will be a little more of the pass catching back, but I think you're going to actually see a great game out of Aranda Gadsden this week. He's one of my breakout tight ends. And I really feel like Ladd, this is a get right game for Ladd. I think you'll see a lot of Ladd targets as well.
Oh yeah, Gadsden is one of Chev's favorites, a
Oh,
friend
yeah.
of the show. He's been talking him up all off season, so it'll be interesting to see if he can fully take over for the Conk, who's been a non-factor so far. And Quentin Johnson looks like he's going to be out this week. So as far as your get right for Ladd, this has got to be the spot where he gets right. And I picked up on you feel like Hassan Haskins is going to be the guy worth worth having on your squad, not Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, I mean, right? We've seen what Haskins can do, especially when he was in Tennessee, and it's little to nothing fantasy relevant. But I just feel like that he's probably the more dependable back.
Oh, did, did we lose Doug? Oh, I think we lost Doug. Give me 1 second. Oh, there you are.
Good.
Did we
Sorry.
did we freeze for a second? I never know if it's my connection
Yeah.
or your connection. You know, problems with live streaming. You were talking about Hassan Haskins as the more dependable guy. I definitely think that he'll have that two down role locked in.
Yep, I totally agree. I think he's going to at least get the snap share. I don't know if he'll necessarily get the fantasy points this week from the running back. I mean, Vidal can easily take one to the house. But I think you'll see, at least from a snap share perspective, that Haskins has got the lead role right now.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Maybe he plunges into the end zone, but I would only start him if truly desperate. Um, Ravens and Rams. Ravens are in a death spiral right now. They need a win in the worst way, but I don't believe it's going to come against these Rams, a very tough team. Um, do you think that we can get any kind of respectable production from Cooper Rush this week?
No, I don't think so. I can't. I tried to convince myself right there, but I just couldn't quite get there. No, I don't foresee this being even close. I think the Rams are actually a really, really good football team, and obviously the Ravens have an All Pro IR right now, right? So, um, it's definitely going to be tough for Rush. Obviously, Flowers and Andrews are going to be put under the gun a little bit, and they might just get volume, right? They might just get volume touches this week, so that might be a good way to get at least a little bit of flex fantasy production, especially if you're in a kind of tight end premium. But I don't foresee Cooper Rush being able to move the needle from a fantasy standpoint. Yeah, I think you're just going to see the Rams roll all day long. I think it's going to be a big Kyron Williams game, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like there's starting to be a lot of panic in the street on King Henry. Should we be panic selling right now, or do you believe that when Lamar Jackson comes back, he'll once again, be a monster, as the months get colder?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the latter. There's no way I'm going to panic sell right now. I feel when you're looking at Henry, obviously the injuries around him affect his game a lot, right? Whenever he was, we're not talking Derrick Henry prime Titans. We're talking Derrick Henry, 32 years old. And when you're looking at his production, it is based a lot more on the team around him. And if that offense is clicking with Lamar, it feels good. Once Lamar gets back, I feel like Henry will be just fine. And that's going to be obviously down towards the end of the season and into the playoffs of the fantasy. So I think that's panic selling. You're definitely going to be selling for 70 cents on the dollar, and that's not
Mhm.
exactly what you want to do right now because the production will be there later in the season, assuming Lamar's healthy and at least somewhat semblance of the line is there.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, before the season, people that had him were championship contenders, so they weren't looking to sell. But a lot of those King Henry teams are struggling right now. So you might be able to get him for a second round pick. And, if you're contending, I think that may be the move, because if you can get him for a second round pick and what a lot of people believe to be a weaker 2026 draft, I think that might be a worthy move that could help you win a championship. If he's putting up the numbers that he usually does late in the season, because now you can put him in your flex where you're just going to be slaughtering teams down the stretch into the fantasy playoffs.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. I think if you are a contender or have found yourself contending when you may not have expected it because you've had some of your players hit, I think Derrick Henry is definitely a great target, especially for somebody that is on is a 2-3 team or a 1-4 team and just doesn't feel like they have a chance to get into the playoffs and they own Derrick Henry. So, I mean, we've been ravaged by injuries this year, right? So there's definitely teams
Mhm.
out there that are sitting 1-4, 2-3 versus the 3-2, 4-1 they probably expected at this point.
Right, and yeah, and they've been forced to pivot,
Mm-hmm.
um, into a rebuild, especially if they're a veteran team, and King Henry's one of those vets. So, if you see a team like that in your league, you might want to just start that conversation, or just send out that random second and see what that leads to.
Yep, that's a
Uh,
great call.
Cardinals and Colts, man. The Colts, I didn't want to believe. I didn't want to believe in the Colts because I'm a Anthony Richardson apologist, but I have to take my L because Danny Dimes has completely transformed that offense. We always knew that they had good offensive players, and he's fully utilized them with the addition of Tyler Warren this year. What are your thoughts on that game?
I think this is obviously going to be a Colts win. I don't foresee the Cardinals being able to really stop anything on defense that the Colts want to do.
Mhm.
Kyler's out, so we've got Jacoby Brissett starting a quarterback this week, right? So the Colts are definitely going to win this game. This is probably one of the easier locks this week for me. But I really, to your point on Danny Dimes, I'm really happy for the guy.
Mhm.
We kind of talked about it in the offseason about how we thought Danny Dimes was going to eventually his second act, right? It was going to be a whole lot better. He just needed to get out of New York, find somewhere. So I didn't think it was going to be this year with the Colts. I thought it was going to be a 1-year backup deal. Again, I'm a big Richardson apologist as well. Like I'm like, I gotta
Friend.
see it. I gotta see it. He's there, man. He's there. This guy's about to take over. Anytime somebody can put up 20 or 25 points in a quarter for you, right? And from a fantasy
Mhm.
perspective, that's what you're looking at. You're like, holy cow, yes, this guy. No. So we're going to see what happens for his second act and what happens for him. I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Dimes does get an extension because
Mhm.
obviously he's worked extremely well with Steichen. The pieces around the team, obviously getting Tyler Warren is another weapon, getting a healthy Pittman back, getting a healthy Josh Downs back. I think you've seen Alec Pierce really take that next step forward, right?
Mhm.
So obviously Jonathan Taylor's the rock and the line's great. So the pieces around for fantasy perspective very good for Danny Dimes, and this is the kind of offense he needs to be in. So I think it's a match made in heaven. We'll see what happens with Richardson down the road, but I don't see anything on the Cardinal side that's really going to be um, super fantasy relevant. I mean, obviously they're going with the RBBC right now. Probably Michael Carter's going to take the lead. Who knows with
Mhm.
DeMarcado and the failed touchdown last week? See, that was
Yikes.
brutal. Um, Greg Dortch might get a lot of run this week. I could see that being the case where Brissett just really leans on him in the slot. Hopefully Trey McBride can kind of get it going just from a garbage time standpoint. So I think fantasy, that's probably what's relevant, but I foresee the Colts winning this easy, at least double digits.
I have a couple responses to some of your statements there. Some A theory I like, or a possibility I like, is Anthony Richardson kind of taking the Justin Fields route and going to Pittsburgh, and getting in getting in that on that team and having Mike Tomlin take him under his shoulder. That they also have a bridge quarterback, so I think he can work well there. I think he needs a certain type of offense, a run heavy offense, and kind of limit his throws until he gets comfortable in that aspect of the game. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh would be a good second career for him. Um, and as far as the Cardinals, I heard I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Matt Harmon. He was actually intrigued to see what a taller quarterback like a Jacoby Brissett would do for some of those taller receivers that Kyler Murray can't see over the middle of the field, and wonder if in the short term could that be intriguing for a Marvin Harrison Jr. who Kyler Murray just can't hit over the middle of the field because he can't see over his offensive line, and where Marvin Harrison works best at.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a real possibility. I just don't think the talent is there for Jacoby Brissett to be able to go out and throw the ball 40 times and have a 70-75% completion percentage and throw for 300 yards. And that's what we're really going to need, right? We need to see the production of Trey McBride.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see the production out of Harrison, but I don't really think that that it's going to be heavy dosage. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I mean, the Colts are obviously going to stop the run game because they're pretty much not going to be non-existent today. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was just I had a little glimmer of hope that maybe my Trey McBride would finally do something
I know. It's
this
killing me,
year.
man.
I thought, man, I was so in on the touchdown regression. I think it was 2 touchdowns last year. I thought, we could see 10 touchdowns from him. And no, not only does he not have the touchdowns, but he doesn't have the yards, catches, or any of the fantasy points that he had last year. So thank you, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, it's killer because I was on board. I mean, I was coming in even for Dynasty. It was, Trey McBride was my number one. I just thought we were going to see a reduction in Bowers' role with Genty there. I thought we were going to see McBride hold steady with the catches and the yards. And to your point, the touchdown positive regression we were kind of hoping for, even if we got to the 5, 6, 7 mark, like that already elevated him over Bowers. But
yeah, football has a way. NFL football has a way of humbling us. We'll have our victory laps, but we'll also have our soul crushing defeats. But we're gonna prop up our victories. Does the Cowboys and Panthers does that game have sneaky shootout potential?
Absolutely. I think you are definitely going to see a shootout. I mean, this is 2 of the worst defenses in the league, and an offense that's, Dak Prescott's been playing some of the best quarterback there is in the NFL right now, and still going to be another game without CD, right? So you might get another heavy dose of Flournoy, but I think Pickens is obviously going to be the play. Do need to kind of focus on the fact that the Panthers do have some good D-backs. But I still think Dak's going to find a way, especially the way Pickens was grinding last week. You're going to see a good heavy dose of Javonte this week from that side. And then Ferguson's going to get his. So, if Ferguson goes 7 for 88 and maybe a touchdown, I wouldn't be surprised. From the Panther side, I really feel like Rico Dowdle is going to shred the Cowboys this week.
Don't they
he
all?
put on a performance last week, and I think you're going to see a second rendition of that. So I'm excited for what Rico Dowdle can do. I really kind of want to see Tet get going a little bit. I think the connection was there a little bit earlier with him and Bryce, but I just need to see the targets. I need to see the targets and catchable targets. That's been the issue for Tet. The radius is there. Just throw it in the radius, man. Come on.
Not all targets are created equal, huh?
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking for a big Tet game. I think he's due, and it's not just the targets. We want to see we want to see some touchdowns. He's yet to score this year. But I mean, the Carolina Panthers as a whole haven't scored a whole bunch of touchdowns, so that tracks. And odd year Dak is something that we've been really big on, coming into this year. And he's delivered even without CD Lamb, which is incredible. He's put numbers on Ryan Flournoy. He's taken George Pickens to another level. So yeah, I don't see either team being able to stop anything the other one's doing outside of that weird shutout from the Falcons.
Yeah.
The Panthers haven't stopped anything this year. So um, that looks to me like the absolute shootout of today. So I would try to target that game heavily in all formats. Um, but yeah, if Bryce can't get right in this game, do we start hearing some whispers of Andy Dalton getting in there?
I mean, I think the answer has to be yes.
It's happened before. We can't say it hasn't
Yeah.
happened before.
I think it has to be a yes. Just taking a quick peek at their upcoming schedule after this game, they have the Jets, Bills, Packers, Saints, Falcons again, this time in Atlanta. I could easily see them going 1-5 in the next 6, right? Maybe.
Yeah, but conversely, outside of the Packers, I didn't really hear any scary defenses in there. So
Yeah,
um,
fantasy
there's there
perspective for
should
sure.
there should be some fantasy points there, and if Bryce Young fails to deliver, he just might not be the guy at this point. I mean, how many times can you pull him? Does he need to get Andy Dalton every year before he before he shows up? Like, is this going to be a yearly ritual? It definitely is not gonna lead to Dave Canales keeping his job if he's almost tied to Bryce Young at this point. So pretty soon ownership's going to want to see some wins there. So um, this in the coming weeks could be some pivotal games. So I'll be interested in watching that one, and we'll see. We'll see if Bryce Young can lift up his fantasy perspectives. But I think we're going to run a commercial for our good friends at League Champ. If you haven't used this app, it's pretty awesome. It allows you to rank um, every position and compare your ranks to the pros, the fantasy pros, if I will. But the most awesome thing is anybody can sign up next week. The contest is already running for this week. A contest I won last week. I got a Puka Nakua jersey on the way as proof. But each week you can win a jersey by winning that weekly ranking contest. So get in there and win some jerseys. I don't want to win all of them, so let's get some competition in there. But we're gonna hit the ad. Oh yeah, that was a fun ad.
Sweet.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Eddie's
All
got it
right.
going on over there.
Yes, sir. Moving along. Moving along. My New Orleans Saints coming off of a big win, first win of the season against the New York Football Giants, who looked great on Thursday. That win is looking a lot better than it did on Sunday, to be honest with you. So maybe my Saints could give the Patriots a run for their money today. Drake May is playing awesome, but the Saints at home they got a little they get a little home cooking, and once we get rocking and rolling in that dome, it could be a hard place to play. Uh, for opposing teams. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think I think it'll be a pretty good game. Fantasy relevance, I really do think that the Saints actually will be able to put up some numbers, and hopefully, I don't know, is Kamar playing today?
I looked on the toilet this morning to see if any sits before I got on the podcast, and
Hmm.
it looks like he's playing. From what everything I'm reading, it's not serious, but even if Kamara plays, Kendre Miller is starting to eat into his workload. So
Yeah.
that is something to monitor. And the other thing that is hurting Alvin Kamara's, hey, good morning. The other thing that is hurting Alvin Kamara's fantasy points is the fact that they're not throwing to him. He's got a career low about four targets per game. For a guy that generally averages 6 to 8. So that's very much holding him back. And last week you started seeing Kendre Miller start to get carries in down the stretch into the fourth quarter. So we could very soon see a 50-50 split. And we've always known Alvin Kamara's not best utilized as a grinder up the middle. He's best used, outside the tackles and on catch it, in the passing game. So, uh, if he's not getting that work in the passing game, he goes from a surefire running back one to a running back three, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't looked too good for him to start the season, and I feel more confident in a Derrick Henry as an older back than I do for Alvin Kamara at this point.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that. And we know that Henry pushes father time and is just an absolute beast. But the way the man trains in the off season and conditions his body and nutrition, obviously he pays a lot in nutrition every year. He's a specimen, and I agree that even in PPR leagues, like I feel like I want Derrick Henry now. And I saw yesterday where he said that Kamara didn't want to come out and leave New Orleans. Like it's unlikely he's going to be traded because he doesn't
Oh,
want to
he's
leave New
not.
Orleans. So that's great for the Saints. I mean, obviously, I love Alvin Kamara, and
Yeah.
so I'm excited about that for that. But yeah, Kendra Miller's.
We we have a couple questions, but I'm gonna quickly respond to the Alvin Kamara point that you made, and then we'll get to these couple questions that we have. I know it's the earliest we have ever gone, so people are just waking up, getting their coffee, and getting those boogers out their eyes, and getting these questions in. But as far as Alvin Kamara, um, the way the Saints front office operates is they value they value loyalty. And with Alvin Kamara coming out and saying that he wants to retire a Saint, they're going to let him do that, regardless of the record. I would be more I would I would see it more likely that maybe a Chris Olave could get traded. It's well publicized. His brother, kind of shit on Derek Carr throughout the whole Derek Carr experience for the Saints. Um, so, I could see him leaving, and the Saints would more likely get a second round pick for Chris Olave as opposed to Alvin Kamara. You're going to have to take on that 12 million in 2026. Um, that makes him less likely to get traded. And if he does get traded, what do you get? You get a fourth round, maybe fifth
Maybe.
round,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So at that point, what's the point of moving him? The salary cap doesn't really exist in New Orleans, so um, you know, salary cap machinations that are problems for most teams. They just, for whatever reason, they're just salary cap, schmallery cap in
Yeah.
in New Orleans, as somebody once told me. But let's get to some of these questions. We got some people kind of rolling in here. We have a kicker question from Lil Juan J Dog. Hopefully, I got that right. And if you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow our completely free Discord where we answer questions at an alarming rate. So, what do you think about this question about the passing game and kickers with rain and wind gust, bad weather?
Obviously, I wouldn't start a kicker there. That's definitely the play. Um, yeah, I mean, weather is always going to be a factor, right? It's always going to be a consideration that you want to make when starts that. So if you have a better option or someone that's close, and you don't want the weather to be the issue, then definitely do that. We'll see. I mean, obviously every stadium's a little bit different, built a little different. Every weather environment's going to be a little different, and
Mm-hmm.
depends on how long the studs they've got in their cleats today, I guess.
Yeah. With these type of questions, I like to say, um, if you have a tough start sit, um, and weather could be the tiebreaker,
Yeah.
um, I might lean with the good weather player, but also take this right up to game time if you can. Try to get reports as close to game time as possible because we're what 3 hours out from game time. Actually, 5 hours out from game time. A lot can change between now and then, and weather people, they they're known to be wrong. Let's just say that as somebody from the New Orleans area. They get excited when they think something might be coming this way. It's kind of disgusting, but anyway, I will get off my high horse. This is not a weather show, but that's what I would say. I would say try to take it up to game time and see if the weather changes. And if it doesn't, if it looks bad, then let that be your tiebreaker. But don't
Mhm.
put an obviously worse play just because of the weather.
Yeah.
I'll say it like that. Um,
Good
Thank you
news
for the
is those are,
question.
yeah, both of those games are early games, so that's a good thing, right? Those are both 1 o'clock slates.
Nice. Good point. We got a question from Cesar C. Good morning, Brees Hall, or Bill? Wow. Wow. Have we gotten here already?
Yeah, we have,
That
we have, and I think
happened fast.
yeah, I did, and I think that answer is Bill this week. I
Oh,
yeah, Brees
hurts
against
my
the
heart.
Broncos is tough, but Commanders against the Bears, I like Bill. I mean, I feel like you're going to get a nice dose of Bill this week, and against the Bears defense that doesn't seem to be able to stop anybody on the ground. I really I like Bill in this matchup, and I just hate Brees's matchup against the Broncos. So
You,
I would actually take Bill.
oh, you, you,
No, that's me. That's me freaking out.
you froze a little bit. So I think what we said was that you like Bill in this matchup, and can we get Brees out? Can we get Brees out of New York? It's obvious he doesn't want to be there. It's obvious that the team, you know, doesn't necessarily want to use him to his fullest of capabilities. Get that man to the Bears. Um, I know the Chargers. They said that they don't believe in the guys that they have. Maybe he can be a short-term rental for the Chargers until, uh, with Amari and Hampton coming back later this year, and then in 2026 he can just name his team at that point. Get that man out of New York. It just hasn't worked there. But as far as Bill goes, what's funny is, um, I my wife just picked up Bill Krosky Merritt, and I was telling her I think I might start Bill this week. She said, "No, I got a feeling about Scatterboo. I said, I don't know. The Philly can be a tough matchup. You sure? No, we'll put him in one more week. If he doesn't hit this week, and I'll take him out. And she's 5-0, so she she could. I mean, I mean, it's a 10-teamer. Even as a 10-teamer, it's like the sickest team. It's basically the sickest team I've ever seen. She's got like Puka, Sun God, JSN, Abuka, Tucker Craft, Jonathan Taylor, Scatterboo,
Holy cow.
Bill. Yeah, it's just nasty.
Whew.
Yeah, but she said she had a feeling. Her feeling paid off, man. I was so proud that her Scatterboo scored 30 points, 3 touchdowns.
Hat
I don't
trick,
think
man.
Bill's gonna.
Elite.
I mean, I think Bill's gonna have a good week, but I don't think he's gonna have a week like that.
No.
Man, and she came 2 yards away from they have like 100-point bonus, 100-yard bonus. And I and Scatterboo looked like he wanted those 2 yards.
Oh yeah.
Tried to talk the coach into it.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Good
he's
stuff. Yeah, she's the breadwinner in the fantasy household right now.
sounds like it.
I got freaking 30 teams, and I got one 5-0 left, and she's got one team, and it's 5-0, and outscored the rest of the league by like 150 points.
That's so cool.
All right, so we got Jonas in the house. I don't remember you, Jonas. If you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe, and go check out the free Discord. Um, Good morning and greetings from Germany. Nice. What time is it in Germany? Is it completely flipped from us? I don't know. I can Google it, but
Probably like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, if I had to guess.
nice. Who to start between Marv and BTJ? Full PPR. Guys with a lot of hope before the season started, but their start is diminished a little bit. What do you think about this dichotomy here?
I think for me, I'm going to play Brian Thomas Jr. for the reasons that we talked about earlier of Brissett being the quarterback for MHJ. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like this week, right? And then also all of the defensive backs that are out for the Seahawks this week. So I feel like Brian Thomas is going to be able to at least get a favorable matchup, and we'll just see what it looks like. I don't foresee ETN being able to take over. Right, we talked about the Seahawks' good run defense and being able to shut that down. So I think you're going to see him throw a little bit more. And I think with the defensive backs that are out this week, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a prime breakout candidate. It's much needed, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you there. Marv, you got to take into account that Marv's playing with Jacoby Brissett today. So if you believe that Jacoby Brissett could help Marv, I don't necessarily believe that. But if you do, then Marv could be a guy that you put your stamp on today. Because BTJ has also not performed all year. But also keep in mind that the Seahawks are super shorthanded in their secondary without Reek Woolen, Julian Love, and Devin Witherspoon. So after getting annihilated in the secondary last week, it could happen again for Brian Thomas Jr. and he's due. So foot to the flame, I'm going with BTJ in this one.
Yep, totally agree.
All right. My good friend Damian Dillard, who's been a regular contributor in the chats the last few weeks. Rashad White, ETN, or Ladd at full PPR flex. What do you think about that one?
Well, one, it's awesome that you have the ability to have Ladd as a flex. So congratulations on your team. But yeah,
absolutely.
I think Ladd is the play this week. I do like Rashad White and what he will be able to do with Bucky being out another week. But obviously ETN, I have a little bit of concern about this week, like we've talked about earlier when we were talking about the Jags Seahawks matchup. And then I think Ladd's going to actually break out this week. So Lad's the play for me.
Yeah, I think if Vlad's gonna have a breakout performance without QJ, I think this is gonna be the week to put him in your lineup. But I also like Rashad White. I think that's the call. I'm gonna take ETN out
Yep.
after a slow week last week, and he's going up against the Seahawks, who can be tough on running backs, but leaky, in the back half of the field. I think that's the call. And I'm just kind of looking here. San Francisco, I'm not sure if Rashad White. I think he's going to have a decent matchup here with San Francisco, but at full PPR flex, I think I'm prone to agree with you on there for Lad.
Yeah.
But good options. I mean, you have three good options. I mean, most people would love to have those options to start all three options. So um, yeah, the I think Lad is the best of good options there. Where were we? I think we left off on the Saints and Patriots. So moving along to the Steelers and Browns. Um, Dylan Gabriel looked pretty decent last week. Do you think he can keep it up against a Steelers defense that hasn't been quite the steel curtain so far this year?
Yeah, I think he'll be just fine this week. I think it's another game manager situation. I think that's what you're going to look at with Dylan
Mhm.
Gabriel, right? Like it just appears that he has enough tools to succeed when it's not going to be throwing the ball 40, 45 times a week, right? Relying on the run game and Judkins especially, and then just being able to establish what he wants to do. And you're right, the Steelers haven't looked like the steel curtain of old, and this could be a good right game for them, but I don't foresee it, and I think this is going to be a battle. I really do. I think that Cleveland has one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league,
Mhm, mhm.
and so it's going to be interesting to see from the Steelers side what they're going to be able to do, what Rodgers is going to be able to navigate. I think Calvin Austin's out again this week, um, so we'll just see. We'll see. Have to see. They're coming off their bye week, right? With Warren going to be healthy and Gainwell, so we might see a heavy dose of that. But we'll just see what that Browns defense can do, and I think that'll kind of dictate what's going to happen from the offensive side for Dylan Gabriel and team. I think Joku's obviously going to be his favorite
Mhm.
target, as well he should.
Yeah, I'm still hoping for that Fannin takeover there, but and he's produced in small doses. He hasn't fully broken out, and that's partly due to the offense. Um, but that could be also a low scoring game. So for me, it's kind of a stay away game if you have better options. But we have more people kind of jumping into the chat here, so I'll just kind of go down the line and we'll try to help you get those wins today. So we got Mark Cleveland. I don't recognize that name, so if you're new here, like, share, and subscribe. Trade McBride and Chase Brown for Bucky and Pitts. He also has Rashad White. Is this a redraft or a dynasty? Please let us know. When asking these trade questions, because a little context helps. But what do you think about this one?
That is very, very close for me if it is redraft. Um, I could see either side because I think obviously you're banking on the McBride Chase Brown side. You're hoping for a bounce back from McBride, right? And then you're hoping that Flacco can come in and give the Bengals some sort of offensive production. And I really, really actually like Chase Brown's schedule for the rest of the season. So that's something to kind of monitor, that if Flacco gets them going, Chase Brown doesn't have to break out this week, but if they can just get the offense going just a little bit, that back end of the season and the playoff schedule for Cincinnati is really nice. But if we're talking and let's Bucky, obviously you're playing on the fact that Bucky's going to come back and produce, and that Pitts is going to maintain. So for that perspective, but for dynasty, I'm going to stick with Trey McBride. I think he's the best player in the deal, especially if it's a tight end premium, and I want that statistical advantage that he's going to produce for Dynasty. I'm just
Uh,
not. I'm just not a Pitts believer. I got to see a little bit more out of Pitts. If I truly believed in this quote unquote breakout from Pitts and knew he was going to be in Atlanta past this season and all these other factors, I would consider it, because obviously Bucky's great, but I think the Trey McBride side for me in Dynasty is what I would stick with.
yeah, I think in Dynasty, especially if there's any kind of premium on tight end,
Yeah,
McBride is the play here. Because Chase Brown eventually, Joe Burrow will come back and that offense will rehabilitate itself. And like you said, Pitts, before the season started, you basically couldn't get a third round pick for Pitts in most leagues,
right.
unless you found a true believer. So I think that's the play. And while you guys are here, make sure y'all go and follow FF Dynasty. We got our good
For
friend
sure.
Dougie Fresh here subbing in for Huncho this morning, who's been very gracious with his time. And we'll have his links. We'll have his links in the YouTube links. Um, but but while we have people here, why don't you tell people where they can find you? We're not ending the show, but as we have people here, kind of just coming in late, can you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah. You can find me on the FF Dynasty. I do a lot of Patreon shows, occasionally on a public show, but mainly just in the background with Casey and Chev, doing roster reviews and doing just any kind of additional questions that the really hardcore degenerate might want. So check us out over there. I'm not big personally on the socials, but you can follow me at Shaolin Monks,
Nice.
ShaullinMonks, Shaolin Monks. I do a lot of reposting and repost a lot of Rocco stuff and Chev stuff and just guys throughout. So, but if there's anything you guys ever need, just let us know. Again, F Dynasty.
FF Dynasty. That's one of the great up and coming brands in the fantasy football streets. So if you're not following them, if you're not checking out their podcast, please do so with Casey and Chev and all those guys. They put out some great content and some uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost daily content, I believe, because every time I open up my YouTube, I'm getting a notification that a new show has just dropped. So, they are there in the streets grinding. So we got you look kind of new here. I'm not familiar with your game, Caleb Lutton. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But if you're new here, like, share, and subscribe, and check out the description for the free Discord. Goff versus Chiefs or Daniel Jones versus the Cards. I feel like I know which way I'm going to go with this one, but what about you, Doug?
I think I'm actually going to take Jared Goff in this one.
Oh,
Yeah, I think Danny Jones obviously has the favorable matchup against the Cardinals, but I think you're going to see a heavy dose of JT this week. I think you're going to see a shootout in Kansas City. I think Goff versus Mahomes is going to be a sight to see this week. The Chiefs have shown that their defense is getting gashed a little bit, but the offense is humming on all cylinders. And I think Goff's going to come out and have to go toe to toe with Mahomes today if Detroit wants to win this game. So I think from a fantasy perspective, I'm going to start Jared Goff.
I I was leaning Danny Jones, but great point. If the Cards can't stop anybody, then Taylor would be, he would be the play, because they may not even have to throw that much, especially if the Cards can't generate offense. So that's a great point. I know in the past, Goff has had trouble on the road, in grass.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a non-factor for you?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some pointed articles out there about golf on grass for sure, right? But yeah, I I think the offense in Detroit is too good, and I think the defense for Kansas City, especially if Trent McDuffie has to play on the outside, not in the slot, I think you'll see a lot of ARSB this week, a lot of Porta over the middle. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm not super worried about Goff on the grass this week in Kansas City because I just don't think they have a choice. I think the offenses are going to go toe to toe. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see an over under 65 in this game.
I can dig it, and the Chiefs' defense is not as ferocious as it's been in the years past, at least so far this year. And Mahomes is having a throwback season, so it could be fireworks once we get Rashee Rice back next week, and they stop depending on situational deep threats as their chain movers and the old ass Kelsey, also as the chain mover. So I'm kind of interested in that offense going forward. My good friend Damian Dillard in Rattler, I trust for now. For now, yeah, that's the key qualifier for now. We'll see. He's looked a lot better than I anticipated, and he's made himself a lot of money, even if he's not a starting quarterback going forward after whatever happens this year. I think he's earned himself a lot of money as at the very least, he is going to be a quality backup for somebody. But fantastic performance last week, and hopefully he can keep it up. And we do have that quarterback of the now and the future, because that solves a lot of problems for the Saints. Our good friend Simp, that stands for Simpson. We found that out last week. Stands for Simpson, like the Simpsons. I think, but glad to have you back, Simp. Thank you for joining us. Full PPR flex 2. Oh, he got some options here. BTJ, Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, sorry, Jawan Jennings. I don't know if he's playing. Let's answer that first before we go to the tight end question.
For flexing 2, I think I'm going BTJ. I just feel like I have to go Garrett Wilson. I just think he'll get some targets in trash time, like we talked about to start the show. I think the targets are going to be there this week for Garrett Wilson again. And then we've already talked about BTJ and how we think he's going to break out. So, and Sim says you were correct. So great job.
And Jawan Jennings is questionable to play today, as of 8 hours ago. So that could be, and they're playing the late game, correct? West Coast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it right there. Buccaneers. Yeah, so you're gonna have to make that call at 12 o'clock. So I unless we get a certainty that Jawan Jennings is playing, I'm taking him out of this equation, and then it's BTJ, Garrett Wilson, or Brees Hall. And like we already talked about, I don't trust Brees Hall today against a tough Denver Broncos defense. So I'm going to trust in the targets for Garrett Wilson. I think he could be looking at 10 plus. Especially if there's copious amounts of garbage time today.
Yeah.
And BTJ, as we talked about before, Seahawks are missing 3 of their starting corners, so they're going to have a lot of inexperience and Walmart employees back there. So it's got to be the breakout week for BTJ, we're feeling like. So, yeah, for both of us, BTJ and Garrett Wilson. Tyler Warren or Tucker Kraft. Damn, you got some good options here, man. You sure you don't want to play both and take out one of those wide receivers?
Let me use one of those guys in flex. Jeez, man.
I would think you could. What are your thoughts there?
Honestly, they're pretty even for me. I think I'm always going to lean Tyler Warren just because of the consistency that we've seen him up to this point. And also we know the plethora of targets that LaFleur likes to use up in Green Bay. I I could see if Flacco comes out flat, not really learned the offense yet, not going to be able to do a whole lot. I could really see a whole lot of Josh Jacobs and Wilson in the backfield this week against the Bengals. So I really kind of feel like the answer's got to be Warren. But we've also talked about how we also feel like JT could just gash the Cardinals all day long. So
Yeah,
I'd lean Warren.
I think I'm gonna pivot off of this one. I think I'm gonna go with Kraft. I think he can have a big game against the Bengals this week, who've kind of already they basically have become essentially a bottom three team overall since Burrow has been out. They weren't a great team at most positions outside of wide receiver and quarterback coming into the season, and they've been absolutely exposed now that Burrow's out of there. So I think Kraft can have a big game. He was a big sleeper coming into the season, and he's hit on that promise of being a sleeper. But I think the correct answer here is I might try to squeeze both in and possibly sit Garrett Wilson, because I feel like we're counting on garbage time for his numbers, which he can get there, but he's also got a tough matchup in Patrick Surtain and the Denver Broncos, who are tough, who are one of the tougher defenses in the league. So you'll be sweating out that game until the fourth quarter, most likely, where Garrett Wilson has been scoring a lot of his points lately. So that could be the answer. But if you have to go Warren or Kraft, we're kind of split there. Both are great options. I don't think
Yeah.
you go wrong with either one. So, good job drafting, I guess is what the answer
Exactly.
is. Great job drafting that team, Simp. Kane Royce, welcome to the show. Start Waller, Kraft, or Shep in the flex.
I mean, you just answered it, Rocco. I think it's got to be Kraft, right? For everything that you said, I know that Waller's kind of come into play and been buzzing after week 3, but I just feel like Tucker Kraft is definitely the play here for me.
And props to Darren Waller for getting back out there after not playing in what seems like forever. He was so good a few years back, and then just kind of fell off with the injuries and whatever kind of music thing he's doing. But props to him for getting out there, and I believe he scored 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games, and they've been ramping up his workload in every subsequent game. So that's been pretty awesome to see. And the fact that we got a new tight end that we can feel comfortable basically starting weekly, because I was in the camp of sell Waller after those first 2 touchdowns. I wasn't believing, that was sustainable, but he's done it back-to-back games, and they're talking about ramping up his usage. So he sneakily could be the Jonnu Smith of 2025. The Dolphins can't do much right, but apparently they know how to find tight ends off the scrap heap, or even out the rap studio. So I feel like Shepard is the third in this question. So, especially if you got some tight end premiums going on in there, it's Waller or Kraft, but I'm going with my guy Kraft. But good question. And we're starting to get a lot of people in here today. It started off slow, but we got questions galore. Skeeter Hawk, is that you? No. Sutton or Lads, short and sweet. Who you got?
Lad. We've talked about it a couple times this morning. So on the playback, if you guys are joining late, we are in agreement that Lad's probably going to have a nice breakout game with QJ out and no semblance of a running game. So
yeah, and I think that's been the point. Basically out throughout the early portion of the season, is that Lad's still good, but with the emergence of QJ and the addition of Keenan Allen, there's been targets, but it hasn't been, the targets that he was seeing last year. So, you know, basically he's going to be needed today against not the hardest matchup. So I think it's Ladd as well. Um, but Sutton also Sutton also can be a good play against a kind
Hmm.
of broken Jets defense. Even with Sauce, that's not a fearful matchup. But also, um, Denver could kind of run away with this game early because the Broncos haven't been able to stop anything. So I think the fireworks are on the Ladd side on this one. I'm
Yep.
agreeing there. Oh, we got scatter boobs. Scatter boobs in the house. Let's have a day. What's up? What's up, Dylan Fink? Let's have a day. Full PPR. Team Scatterboobs here. One flex. Born at Tampa Bay, and thanks for putting the matchups in there. That makes me not have to look at this other screen here. Born at Tampa Bay, in which Pearsall has already been ruled out, and Jennings is looking like he's on the wrong side of questionable. Swift at Washington. Let's start there. There's a two-part question.
I really like what Kendrick Bourne did, and I feel like this is going to be. I mean, Tampa Bay is going to make this a shootout. It's if you haven't already, it's time to take Tampa Bay seriously as a football team and fantasy relevant football team as well. And I think Kendrick Bourne easily could get close to the targets that he got in the last game. So I would lean Kendrick Bourne, which is crazy in my brain to say out loud.
Hey, I mean, the proof is in the pudding of last week. But interesting enough, I heard a recent FF Dynasty podcast where I think it was, I want to say Casey had Tampa Bay as his number one in his power ranking. So, yeah, I mean, how quickly they have risen.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield has shown the ability to get in the shootout with any team and win those shootouts. So um, I think Bourne is the question. Swift would be like the best running back in the league if he had eyes. And actually went where the play was designed and was able to, you know, uh, you know, find the holes that are opened up. Um, so, I mean, Swift can get there with some catches, but I think Bourne is the answer there. And rank these QB starts, second part of this question. T-Law versus Seattle, Mac Jones at Tampa Bay, and Fields versus Denver.
I think that's probably the order for me. I would take T Law, and then I'd take Mac, and then I'd take Fields.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think Mac Jones
Yeah.
could be the play here. But we also saw like his knee hanging on by a thread, and it just feels like that knee's gonna blow at any time. Just the wrong hit, and I hate to say that, because he played awesome, but I mean, everybody saw that primetime game where he could barely stand, and I don't know if that was like a wrestling thing, trying to get the defense to feel feel bad for him, but they didn't. They attacked that knee all night, and I think he's going to get more of that. When you see a weakness, defenses are like sharks with blood in the water. So as much as I hate to say T-Law first, because sometimes he makes me feel like he's not very good at football things. He's a great athlete. He's got great hair, but the actual part of playing quarterback, I'm not sure he's that great. I think he's regressed from his early career big time. But great hair, man. Props to that hair. So I'm gonna go with that. The dark horse here could be Fields versus Denver, but he's gonna have to get there. In my opinion, he's gonna have to get there in garbage time, which I hate to rely on. So I mean, he could outscore the field, but as a thought process, I think I'm gonna have to go in the way you have that ordered. But good question. You got some interesting players there. Uh, Welcome to the show, Foxborough News. We got a whole news channel here. Good morning. And I don't recognize that name, so please like, share, and subscribe. And while you're here, I'll also check out the FF Dynasty, 16 man half PPR. Oh, you're a real degenerate, man. Nice to meet you. Should I go Jennings or Hollywood Brown? I'm guessing that's Jawan Jennings in the flex. Um, I'll start here first because like we said, I'm not 100% confident that Jennings is going to play today, which makes this an easy decision. And I think Hollywood Brown should be relevant for at least one more week before Rashee Rice comes back. So that's the way I'm going. Have you heard anything about Jennings playing? He's still questionable according to Google here.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. And that's
Yep.
why.
So easy question there. If that's your only two options, I would go with Hollywood Brown today. Correct. His name is Simpson. Got it right. He's got another question here. Flex a tight end over Garrett Wilson. I think it's an option.
Depends on the
Is,
tight end and the premium league, and
yeah. Do you have any premium for your tight ends in your league? Because what worries me about Garrett Wilson is we're gonna be relying on garbage time, in my opinion.
hmm
Maybe the Jets come out and give him a game today, but based on the way they've played this year, it seems like that's where they're scoring points is when they get down multiple scores.
yep, yep, I totally agree. And I mean, it is an option. We're just again what it's stated over and over and over every time we've talked about the Jets in the show is garbage time, and how do you want to rely on that garbage time and those fantasy points coming through? So
But also, it's played at 8:30 today, and that's an international game, correct?
yep, it's
Where,
over
where are they
in
playing at?
I believe this one's Germany.
Germany. Okay. So we say all of that to also say that it's a it's a game played in Germany, so weird shit could happen. But you do have a lot of good
Oop.
options. That's the good thing for your team is that you have a lot of good options. Um, so if there is a premium, I think I might start both tight ends.
Yeah.
Um, but Garrett Wilson could also get there in garbage time.
This one is actually in England, and we know
Oh,
how
it's in England.
yeah, like to know how it rains over there because in Germany they will occasionally play in a dome, but this will not be a dome game. This will be outside. This will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Jonathan Santiago, where in the world are you? Morning weird flex. Oh, we're getting those weird questions now. Michael Carter or Chamir Dike?
DK, yep.
DK. My league is broken with return yards. So DK is a solid 15 points.
Yeah, 15 to 20 a week.
If you're getting 15 to 20 out of DK, I feel like he's a must start.
Yeah,
Here's
no,
my
I agree.
thoughts.
It's I have a weird league like this, so I totally get where you're coming from, Jonathan. I start Shamiri DK, I start Luke McCaffrey, and I start Malik Washington in this league. So if that tells you anything about it, how skewed it is towards the return yards, there you go. So yeah, I think DK is definitely the play here.
Yeah. I think in those leagues, you like a Malik Washington is a start.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, if you're getting 15 to 20, if you can bank on 15 to 20, I would definitely. I mean, it seems to me like he's an every week start.
yeah,
There's not many people that I would start over a guaranteed or a likely 15 to 20. outside of like a quarterback in super flex, because you can't really count on those type of points from basically anybody outside of your top end studs.
Yep.
You definitely can't count on 15 20 for Michael Carter. I can promise you that. He might get there, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Also, another question for our good friend Santiago: Pitts or Mason Taylor PPR?
I'm actually I'm actually gonna take Pitts in this one. I really like what Mason Taylor did last week, and I really think again, Jets garbage time this week. We could see that. We could see some targets his way for sure. But I think Pitts has evolved in this Falcons offense, and I think he's become a key piece of that offense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what Mooney's status is today, but I think he's out.
I believe he's out. I
Yeah,
saw earlier that he was out. I
yeah.
moved him in the IR.
Okay, so that makes Pitts the number 3 target. Going against the Bills, I think they're gonna have to throw it a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to see. I think you're actually going to see Pitts deliver. It is going to be in Atlanta at home in the Dome, so that's good. But yeah, I think Pitts is definitely the play here for me.
Yeah, yeah. This is coming from a Mason Taylor non-believer. At least, in the off season, he was pretty low on my tight end list. I just didn't believe in the production or the athletic profile, but he's proven me wrong with his copious amount of garbage time points. Slight dig. But yeah, I think you're right with Pitts. The fact that they're playing the Bills leads me to believe that this one also has shootout potential.
Yep.
With the fact that I don't believe the Falcons will be able to uh, stop the MVP Josh Allen from scoring points. So in turn, the Falcons will have to score some points, and Pitts being the second target in the passing game. If you don't count Bijan Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're definitely going to have to get him some targets in that game to keep up. So I can roll with that take here. Let's see. Uh, uh, Sorry, man. I'm just gonna say Mahoney. Uh, I'm a rebuilding team that will be ready to contend next season. Picked up Dak during the offseason as a throw-in in a trade, and now want to trade him. What's his value? What is Dak's value on a rebuild?
I'm assuming this is going to be super flex question. If
Yeah,
it
if
is
it's
not, I
not super
apologize.
flex, he doesn't really have much value at all.
Right? Yeah, he's going to be somebody's backup more than likely. I mean, he would start for him this year, but they're not going to want to go into next year as Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback, even though he might still have 2 or 3 years left. So we're going to assume that this is super flex, and if it is, um, if you're trading him to a contender, you're going to definitely get at least a back end one because that contender's pick is going to be late in the draft. I would probably try to get an additional second, and I might try to do that in 2027 because I think that draft class is going to be very deep, and I think that
Mhm.
pick will be very valuable, and to a contender, a 27, a second 2 years from now is not going to be as valuable. So, like a first in 26 and a second in 27, or if you can just tear down, right? Like if you can get a quarterback of maybe a Daniel Jones or a something along those lines, like get something like that in return plus some good draft capital, I think you'll be in a good position. That's what I would kind of shoot for. I don't ever like to give up a quarterback in Superflex without getting one in return, at
Mhm.
least one that has potential that I think could start in the next 2 to 3 years. At worst, but I definitely want to get a quarterback back and then some draft capital on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would, especially in Superflex, I would sell him as, I mean, essentially he could be a league winning
Yeah.
type quarterback. Um, especially if somebody can slide him as their number two.
Yeah.
You're looking at basically 20 to 25 weekly points from him, with upside to getting to the 30s. So I would want, you know, I would maybe if you can get like a young quarterback and a first, maybe that's asking for a little bit much. Or maybe if you can do like a JJ McCarthy, who's
Yeah.
not playing
Perfect.
right now. Um, I mean, you could also up tier. If you could find a way to get it like a Joe Burrow, for a team that's missing out on similar production from a Joe Burrow to a Dak that can keep them competing.
Hmm. Yep.
That may be the play. I don't know if I would throw my first in there. If there was a player you can throw in there to make that happen, is if that's the difference between Dak to Burrow, especially from a team that's scuffling a little bit and that needs that quarterback production. But if we're talking about picks, I think you absolutely want a first.
Yeah.
And if that's going to be a late first, you might not get two first, but if you can get a first and maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds, or maybe even a young blue chip player thrown in there, I think that's the play. But you do not trade him for less than a first plus.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Otherwise, I'm diamond handing to the end because somebody's going to want that production, and you should have multiple teams that need that type of production. So definitely don't sell your asset low because odd year Dak is in full effect right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. And if you're going to contend next year, there's nothing wrong with having him on your team. I mean, if he's your quarterback three and what you consider to be your quarterback three, I mean, he's number 5 overall this season, right? So
Hmm.
if you're going to contend next season, it's not a bad idea to have Dak Prescott on your team. So you don't have to sell him. I know you want to because you're selling high on him, but he still holds a lot of value, especially in Superflex. So
Yeah, and there's nothing saying you can't sell in the off season either if you don't get the
right,
offer you're looking for. Um, just because teams may not be wanting to give you market value for him now, I mean that can change in the off season. You may have teams become orphans. You have new aggressive managers come in and see the value of a Dak Prescott. Um,
yep,
but the one thing I will advise on is look at even year Dak and decide if you want to hold on to him into 2026. It's not as pretty as odd year Dak, I can tell you that.
so crazy, so crazy.
All right, we got a gross question. PPR, Marvin Mims, Sterling Shep, or Dontavion Wicks? He is throwing up as he's writing out this question.
With heartburn. That's
Uh,
crazy.
at least you're self-aware on this
It's
question.
true.
I'm
um,
sorry. One additional point. Our friend Mahoney with that previous question said it is super flex. So
okay.
all of that advice sticks for that
Yeah.
question there.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, in this instance, I think I have to take Sterling Shepard, which is crazy to say out loud. Um, I just that just crazy. No, yeah, I think like I said, I could see this game being a little bit of a shootout and Godwin's out, right? And obviously
Hmm.
Evan's still out.
Hmm.
I mean, there's one man standing and he needs a Robin in this game, so I think that's going to be probably Sterling Shepard. Rashad White's going to get a lot of targets, I got a feeling, but
Yeah, I think the answer is Sterling Shep because he is the one that we can most buy into him getting actual targets.
yeah,
Marvin Mims can blow up for 20 in any week, but good luck figuring out what week that's going to be
yeah,
because they have so many guys similar to him, outside of Sutton, who's the mainstay. It could be a Marvin Mims week. It can be a Troy Franklin week. It
yep,
could be a Evan Ingram week. There's just so many. Pat Bryant could even get into the mix at some point. So, Marvin Mims is just, if you have nothing else, you can throw him in there and just hope it's the 20-point Marvin Mims week, which is funny because he actually won me a league last year with his big 2 touchdown performance in championship week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has that kind of upside, but the usage will just infuriate you because you have no idea when that's coming. So you just have to put him in there and hope for the best. But yeah, Doug's right on this one. Sterling Shep is the one that we can count on his targets there. But yeah, that question definitely will give anybody heartburn there. Jake Calder, Alvin Kamara, Sutton, or Kraft in the flex.
I think the answer is going to be Tucker Kraft. If it's tight end premium of any kind, I think the answer is going to be Tucker Kraft. If it's not, I'm probably going to go Sutton, but I don't love that.
Yeah, I really like Kraft this week.
Yeah.
So that's the question for me. I'm a little nervous with Alvin Kamara until we start seeing targets. So to me, the question is Sutton or Kraft. I like Kraft. I like Kraft this week.
Yep. I do too.
But Sutton, you're probably safer in the fact that you know kind of what we're going to get from him weekly, and sometimes the Green Bay Packers can be a little Mickey Mouse with their offense, where you just don't know who's gonna be the one to blow up from week to week. But I feel that Kraft is basically the number one option there. So if they're scoring points, I think Kraft is going to have to be a big part of that. Yes, our good friend Santiago is adding some context with his return yardage. It's 1 point for every 10 yards, basically like every other position. And yeah, those points can add up quickly.
Hence the 15 to 20 out of DK. So that makes a
Yes.
lot of sense. And like I said, Luke McCaffrey is a great pickup for that because he's starting to see actual targets. Plus, he's getting the return yards. So
yeah, LMC. One day he may be the best MC. Kane Royce. He just heard our concerns about the Jets this week. Odunze over Wilson. Yes.
I'm gonna. Yeah. Until further notice, I'm starting to Dunze over Garrett Wilson. I'm starting to Dunze over most others until further notice. But
Odunze is rapidly ascending and could be a foundational wide receiver sooner than later. He's definitely taken over that room. DJ Moore is a thing of the past, and that offense has its arrow pointed up. So Odunze is a big part of that. But yeah, I'm starting Odunze over Wilson until we can see regular game action points from Wilson. It's just hard to trust that garbage that weekly garbage time points that he's scoring in most games where they're down multiple scores.
You do know the targets are going to be there, though, right? We just need to know that they're going to be productive targets, and that's the biggest thing for Garrett Wilson. To your point, that we can't always bank on garbage time, but the targets are going to be there.
Yeah, and I say all that to say that I am starting Wilson, over most like wide receiver twos. But when you have an option like Odunze, which is that's a great problem to have. I think I'm going Odunze because I feel like he's going to outscore Wilson today.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. KJ Frederick, need your help. Start 2. RJ Harvey, Hendo, Sharbs, Vidal, or Kendre Miller. There's a lot of options there, and you got to start 2.
I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start the first 2. I think I like Harvey and I'd like a breakout for Henderson. I know you guys I heard you guys got a bet over there with Benny Boy and maybe Chev on
you heard about that one. Yeah. I'm a scatter bro. So
yeah.
I'm a scatter bro. Tried and true scatter bro over here. Unapologetic.
so funny. It's a great bet. Ben's like, you need to jump on the side, and I was like, I don't know, man. That's pretty close for me. So, and then Thursday happened, and it's like, all right, well, Scatterboo. But to get
Trust in the
back to
touches.
yeah, yeah, I think I like RJ Harvey in this one. If you wanted to pick, Sharps based on the fact you think he's going to get a rushing touchdown in this game, I could see it. But with Antonio Gibson being out, I really do like what Henderson's about to start with his increased snap share, what he's probably going to do in the passing game a lot. So I'm excited about what Travion Henderson's going to do. So I would go Harvey and Henderson.
Yeah, I think if you're going pure upside, I think Harvey and Hendo offer the most upside. Um, Vidal is interesting because it's a complete unknown situation. It could be Haskins, but also Vidal. I mean, he could be the pass down back, which will increase his value, and he could get some explosives, but we just don't know yet. Charbs makes me furious because he's taking all of my Ken Walker touchdowns and catches away from me,
Yeah.
and basically doing nothing with his touches. Um, Kendre Miller is close to he's Kendre Miller is getting interesting because, like we said earlier, he's getting touches late in games, and he could be the goal line back. But how many opportunities are the Saints going to have? In the red zone, and they've been bad essentially all season in the red zone. So it's hard to trust him getting that touchdown. And they don't pass to Alvin Kamara, so good luck getting Kendre
Right.
Miller many catches.
Right.
I say all that to say that I think Harvey and Hendo are the answers, but also the floor is low. The floor is very low there, so
Yeah.
you basically have a bunch of backup running backs as options there. So with all that being said, I think I'm going to go with the guys that have upside.
Yep.
Um,
And
with,
it being
with
full
Harvey.
PPR, you want the guys that are going to have a role in the passing game, right? I mean, Sharpen really doesn't. And then, like you said with Kendre, so Vidal would be the probably close third for me, but I'd still take those two. So
All right, we have a couple questions left. We're going to try to get to these, and we're going to try to get my man Dougie Fresh out of here at a cool 90 so minutes. Michael Regine, Knicks or Caleb need defense. Only thing out there is Bucks Saints. Thinking about that. Ooh, thinking about Dallas. Ouch. Sorry to hear about that.
your reaction was awesome. That was great.
As I was reading that, ooh, yikes. Yikes. What are your thoughts here?
I think I'm taking Caleb. I mean, I think Caleb's obviously been the better fantasy producer this year so far, right? One, but also two, I think he's going to be in more of a shootout situation. I don't foresee Knicks and the Jets really getting into a shootout. I think it's going to be a pretty lopsided game this morning. So I think I'm going to take Caleb in the shootout with the Commanders.
Yeah, that could be fun actually. In a matchup between the 2024 rookie QBs
Yeah.
that are slightly going in different directions this year, based on the amazing season that JD5 had last year, and Caleb being kind of very mid last year to downright bad in some games. So they're going in opposite directions right now. So that should be a interesting matchup. Um, I'm a Knicks believer, but also that game could get out of hand pretty quickly. Yeah, let's go with the shootout there. And is that your only options for defense?
Man.
I don't know if I can, in good faith, tell you to start any of those. I mean, they all.
Do you get
Let's
negative points on defense? That's the question.
most leagues you do, because
Yeah.
all of those could be in the negative unless there's like some kind of turnover or pick six. That's what you're basically hoping for, because the Bucks basically can't stop any. But I think I'm not going to be a homer here, but I think the Saints
I was kind of
maybe.
thinking the same thing.
I
I,
mean, it's at home.
yeah.
It's at home, and the Saints have gotten some turnovers. Sanker has been a real find for the Saints at safety, and he's made a lot of big plays out there. So I think it's gonna be the Saints here, but I don't feel good about any of these
Mm-mm,
things I'm talking about with these defenses.
mm-mm.
Are you sure there's not a better team out there? Like, is everybody just gobbling up defenses and there's just nothing out there? I mean, even if you could, I mean, I guess Jacksonville's not available, but bro, sorry. I apologize.
Something. Yeah.
I don't have a good answer for you. Saints, but if I'm wrong, don't be mad at me, because there's all of those options are
Right.
terrible. Let's move along. Flex from Malik G. Michael Carter, Kendrick Bourne, or Jacoby Myers.
I'm a big Jacoby Myers truther. Jacoby Myers. I'm gonna stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, we got some later arrivers. Without Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. I mean, he has to be the target leader, right? Correct.
Yeah.
He's got to be the guy there, because I mean, Michael Mayers is coming back, so we do. He is a sneaky start. Bourne was great last week. Um, and Michael Carter. I mean, DeMarcado might have got kicked off the team after after that play. So he's like the only guy there. This is tougher than you would think it would be. I mean, this would have been an easy question in the offseason.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to roll with the hot hand and Bourne here.
Sure.
But yeah, Jacoby Myers is a good start as well. But I'm gonna roll with the hot hand here. So we got but all of these options are pretty close. And we got Doug for about another 10 minutes, so we're gonna cut the show off then. So if anybody doesn't get their questions answered, go follow the FF Dynasty. They also have a Discord, and we'll put that in the links to this podcast, and also join our Discord. I can answer questions for the next 4 hours or so before kickoff. Artisti Calico. Sorry if I screwed that up, but I'm doing my best here. Full PPR tight end premium, Travion Henderson, Harold Fannin, Troy Franklin, or the Glock on my dress. Oh, shit. Oh, man, you set me up with that one. I did not see that coming. Oh, man, artist, man, create art, not Glocks in the dresser.
That's one
Like,
way to do it, I guess.
man, those are good options. The Glock is not an option
That's
here.
pretty good.
Come on,
That
bro.
caught me off. That caught me off. That was good stuff.
What do you think here?
I think I'm gonna go again, Henderson. I think Henderson's gonna have a good game this week. I think he's finally gonna be forced into getting a little bit more, especially if Ramondre puts it on the carpet one more time. You might only get Henderson. So that's going to be my pick. I think I'd probably go in that order all the way down through option 4. But But yeah, you could see a good game out of Fannin. But kind of to your point, Rocco, you were talking earlier about how in Denver it could be Troy Franklin, it could be Marvin Mims, right? So it could be Evan Ingram. I mean, Evan Ingram finally stepped up last week, so I'm going to go Travion.
Yeah, I think this could be a sneaky breakout week for him. I think they're gonna. I think I can see them trying to get Trevion downfield, matched up against the Demario Douglas, who's great in the box, but some of his coverage skills can be lacking. So I think he's a sneaky bet for like a 50-yard over the top touchdown in this one. I love me some Harold Fannin, but the floor has been kind of low. And like we said with Franklin, who knows if it's going to be a Franklin week. So some interesting options there, but I think I'm going Hendo as well. Ryan Lee, good morning to you. Lad over Sutton with the QJ injury news. I have London as well, but not really thinking of. Oh, okay. Yeah, London's a must start, so there's no reason to ever take him out of the lineup. So, yes, the question is Ladd over Sutton. I think we answered this question. I think we were both on the Ladd side here.
Yep, for sure.
Somebody else had the same lineup question. So, yep, Ladd here. This is Ladd week. But thanks for the question, Ryan Lee. D Money in the house. We got Judkins, Dobbins, or Bill. Full PPR. What are your thoughts? This is a good one.
This is a good one. For me, it's between Judkins and Bill. Obviously, Judkins has a firm handle on the backfield. Bill does as well. Could see again a nice shootout between the Commanders and the Bears, and Bill can be very, very relevant. Full PPR. Give me Judkins. Steelers defense hasn't been there, like you said earlier, and I just think Judkins could have an explosive game because I think it's going to be a hit you in the mouth kind of game, an AFC North battle.
Yeah, Judkins has come out firing, even without any time with the team in camp, any build up. He got on the field and was immediately the guy there. So I'm going to trust in that. And the Steelers' defense is not scaring anybody, so I think Judkins is the answer. But you got some good options. I almost wonder if there's a way to sneak Bill in there. Dobbins has been great too, but his ceiling hasn't quite been there so far this year. So yeah, between Bill or Judkins, if you have a way to slide Bill in there, I would try to. If not, Judkins is the answer there. And our guy, Michael Regine, he said there's also the 49ers, Cards, and Bears. So the
Cardinals take the Colts, Bears got the Commanders, Niners got the Bucks. Let's
damn, everybody's in shootouts this week.
Yeah, for real. I think the team that could do the least amount of damage is still going to be the Patriots against the Saints.
Yeah.
So I think that's still probably the play. I could just see the Bucks throwing up numbers. I could see the Commanders throwing up some numbers. And then the Colts Cards game, that's probably going to be the closest next closest for me. But the Colts looked really good. So yeah, go ahead and give me the Saints.
Yeah, I think that's the play. That's the play. The Saints outside of the Seattle game have been basically in most of the games so far this year, and if they stay in the game, it won't be a definite shootout. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate it, my man. Always here.
Always.
Try to be honest with you. And we got a couple more questions, but we're going to get out of here pretty quickly. So we're just going to kind of rapid fire these. PPR, T, Charbonnet, or Bourne. Damn, how T has fallen.
Man, seriously. I think I'm going to take your advice on the hot hand and take Kendrick Bourne in this one.
Yeah. I'm not trusting T until I see him do something. Fannin or Taylor, standard. I guess that's going to be Mason Taylor.
I think you got to. I'm going to take Taylor. I think
I
it's
think
going
I
to be a
am too.
garbage time.
I'm going to trust in the garbage time there.
Yep.
Let's see. Half PPR must win this game. Sit Wilson for Lad. I think that's the way I'm going.
Yep. Agreed. Lad for us.
D Money. I already have Jay and Kyron. I really want to start Judkins over Bill. Uh, da, 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 da. Um, That's a lot of information there. Can't compute.
We just got done talking about Judkins versus Bill.
Yeah, I think Judkins is the answer.
Yeah. I think
But
so too.
if you haven't yet, please like, share, and subscribe. Uh, Brees or K9? I'm going K9 here.
Yeah, I think so too. That's who I would
All
take.
right, last question here, and then we're going to get out of here. Um, Also, should I start Herbert with the QJ injury? I think this is a get right. We talked about this earlier. I think this is a get right for Herbert.
Yep. I'm
All
taking
right.
Herbert over, man.
All right, and that's it. We're cutting it off. We got to go places. But Doug, thank you for being so gracious with your time. We went over the time we talked about, and you've been awesome today. Um, please let everybody know where we can find your stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rocco. I really appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure and been a joy. You can just find me at the FF Dynasty. Follow us on Discord. Follow us on iTunes and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll catch you guys next time.
All right, he's Dougie Fresh. I'm Siriaco, but you guys and gals can call me Rocco, and we are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos. But everybody's welcome. Thank you, and good luck, everybody, and let's get some wins.